What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with the market moving forward as we have new developments in the charts, not to mention big news that's coming out. But just note that I'm not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY on invested cash. This offer ends very soon in a couple of weeks. Anyways, now let's talk about Tesla. Tesla has a very, very interesting trend. As you can see on the 4-hour time frame, Tesla's been on an uptrend. We had this low all the way down here at the 186 area. And since then, we've been just continuing to make higher highs and higher lows, and we're continuing to push up and up and up. But the question now remains for the short term, can Tesla crack past 230? And if we do break that, where are we going from there? I'll talk more about that in just a couple of minutes. I first want to talk about the market real quick. So tomorrow is going to be Friday, the 13th of September, 2024. 1 hour before the market opens, we have the export and import prices coming out. The import prices are not as crazy, not as important. I'm not really expecting anything too crazy during that time period. Then at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 30 minutes after the market opens, we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report, the 5-year inflationary expectations, and the current conditions report coming out. So look for a lot of data coming out from Michigan, might cause some volatility. Besides that, I'm not seeing anything else going on with the market that's too significant for early next week or even like for tomorrow, but we do have FOMC on Wednesday. That's going to be the next major factor. So for now, the market's looking very optimistic approaching FOMC, and we're looking very strong for now. So that's what I'm seeing for the time being. Expect some volatility at 10 a.m. tomorrow, but besides that, there's not much coming out. Now, there's one more thing I want to note that's very important for the markets. For the S&P 500 ETF Trust SPY and the market as a whole, we have a lot of puts that have been being bought. For tomorrow, it's going to be September 13th. We have a little bit over 300,000 calls expiring, and we have over 1.1 million puts expiring as well. That gives us a 3.59 puts to call ratio. So there's more than 3 puts for every call expiring tomorrow, with 547 being max pain. So the market makers have been really hurting the shorts. Almost every single put expiring tomorrow is out of the money so far. And we'll see if this lasts or not. But so far, the charts remain bullish, and the shorts are in a very, very tough position right now. That's what's looking very prominent in the markets. Uh, what else is very important is the fear and greed index. This is currently getting very close to neutral. I think we should be at neutral by tomorrow morning. We're seeing things becoming neutral as there's more upside potential for the markets. We're not even at greed yet. That tells us the market could push even more. Momentum indicators look more bullish because we're at greed on the current trend. We're bouncing off the 125 daily moving average, and we're doing a good job at trying to pump. For other factors out there, the put and call option ratio is at extreme fear, but notice that this was going up because for the last 5 days, at least on average, we're continuing to see more and more puts being bought. So people were buying puts for the market, they're buying puts, buying puts. Tesla's going up while that's happening. SPY is going up while that's happening. The QQQ is squeezing while that's happening. We are seeing a small short squeeze. That's what's going on right now. So what's happening is the ratio is starting to go down because these puts are starting to be closed and people are starting to hedge, people are starting to buy in, and the buyers are starting to come back as there's a big shift right now. So people started buying puts like crazy for the last couple of days, expecting a big crash, especially because we're in the month of September. September is obviously not over. We could still dip later on down the line, but right now and for the past couple of days, we've been seeing shorts getting squeezed. We've been seeing a lot of buyers continuing to step in, and they still have the edge as I speak. So the last thing I want to talk about for this is the VIX is at neutral. We have a gap to fill below, and we're losing our 50 daily moving average. This is a sign of weakness for the VIX. This is once again signifying that the market is still bullish. As far as Tesla goes, their FSD version 12.5 rollout on the hardware 3 is coming out. People are saying that it's failed. I wouldn't necessarily say it failed so far. I don't think that's like the right term to be using. The media does love to kind of paint things that way. It's more like they are continuing to develop the technology, and we have to continue to wait and see what new developments come out. It's taking them some time for them to get this out. Elon Musk was saying that it would take them about 10 days to adapt the version 12.5 to hardware 3. It's been about 10 days. And so far, they're saying that it hasn't been ready yet. It hasn't been confirmed yet. So for us to say that it failed does not necessarily mean that, hey, it's done with. I'm just trying to say that it's a little bit delayed, and that's completely fine. That's like the better term to say. It's more delayed for now. There's no guarantee that Tesla's just gonna throw their hands up and just say they're giving up. That doesn't make sense to me. I think that there's a lot of improvements to be made for it, whether or not they're trying to retrofit the older models with hardware 3, or what could be happening is they're trying to introduce hardware 4 for it. We'll have to see on that. We're still waiting for Tesla to give us an update, so it does not make sense to say this, to say that they completely failed at this. We don't know for sure yet, so we were just waiting to see what the update is going to be from Tesla. Will they give us a new hardware instead, or will it be the old one? Are they about to help the older models adapt to this new software update, or are we about to see another change? So we're just waiting to see if that ends up being the case, and we're going to be very patient with this nonetheless. I learned a very important lesson: Tesla's dates are not always correct, and you have to be very patient with them. You can't always believe every date Elon Musk says. Sometimes they're very, very early, as they tend to be very, very optimistic. So it's just a delay at this point. We're just waiting to see what the update is, so we shouldn't assume anything. So I just have to wait and see how it goes. Two more things. Volume is at 71 million, not bad for Tesla. We are still fighting some tough resistance. Deutsche Bank gave Tesla a buy rating. Cantor Fitzgerald also gave us a neutral rating, whereas Morgan Stanley is giving us an overweight rating. So not bad whatsoever. That's it for any updates and news about Tesla. There was also a lot of talk about Elon Musk involved in the robotaxi event. He wants shareholders to basically participate in a raffle where they could be selected to attend the event on October 10th in Los Angeles. And Musk has said it's going to be a very significant event for Tesla's future, so I can't wait to see what that holds. That's it for your update about news. Now let's talk about the charts. So the 4 hours showing that Tesla had this low here. We came up, made a higher low, came up, made a higher low, higher low, higher low. We're continuing to uptrend very, very nicely. When looking at the daily charts, we're looking more bullish. If you look at the daily, we're continuing to push very nicely. We are at a tough area. This 230 area and also 235 are very tough resistance levels. We have rejected many times off those zones, but excuse me, we're still holding up very well and we still have potential. Now, what I do like about Tesla is on the 4 hour time from approaching FOMC next week, Tesla has a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure. If we manage to break this 235 area, we easily go up to about 245 in my opinion. If we can crack past 235. That's a tough resistance, so we'll see how well Tesla does. But for now, let's focus on the shorter term, what's happening to Tesla for the time being. We're holding support very nicely. I said in my morning video I was anticipating Tesla might dip towards like 222, then bounce. We actually went down to about 224 and then bounced, so a little bit above what I was expecting before the bounce came. But we were correct about the bounce. In my video yesterday, I said I was bullish on Tesla in the markets, and lo and behold, we got another bullish close as predicted. So the question is, what's happening from here? Notice a very interesting trend in Tesla, okay? The market basically opened on Monday, Tesla gapped up, dipped a little bit, then continued to push. It kind of traded within a range. On Tuesday, Tesla pushed up, got this big dip. We actually saw a bit of a dip all the way down to 218 before we saw a bullish close up to about 226. Yesterday, Tesla dumped to 217, then rallied up to 228. Today, Tesla basically saw a bit of a dip to 224 before it rallied back up to close. Notice the pattern. We love to dip and bounce. Tesla's been doing that every day of the week except for Monday. So I think going into tomorrow, we're going to be looking for a bit of a dip tomorrow morning. There's not really much economic data coming out in the morning, so we might see a little dip to retest 228 or so. And I think what's going to happen is obviously it depends on the news and other factors, but there might be a small dip before we try to rebound. That's why you have to be watching these supports. We have 228 as support, followed by 225 and then 222. We have resistance to watch for at 230 if that breaks. We're looking for 232, then 235. This is where we have some big wicks forming. This is going to be kind of tough. So I presume what's going to happen is Tesla might be dipping a little bit back down towards 228, maybe even a little bit lower. We could get another retest of 225, then some consolidation tomorrow, followed by a nice push at the end of the day is the most likely case for Tesla, in my opinion, to try to fight for 230. So a dip and a bounce is most likely going to be coming, and we'll see if Tesla can break past 230 or not. It's going to be a tough resistance, but overall, the trend on Tesla remains bullish. For SPY, we're hitting a tough resistance near just under 560. I want to mention that we have a similar trend as Tesla. As you can see, we pushed on Monday. Tuesday, we dipped and bounced. Wednesday, we got a big dump, then a huge bounce. Today, we dipped a bit in the morning, then we bounced. Tomorrow, look for a little bit of a gap down, maybe a bit of a dip towards 558. If that fails us, we're looking for 555 and 553 as supports. We have resistance at 559 to 560, 562, and then 563 above that. I presume what's going to most likely happen is SPY gets a bit of a dip in the morning to retest 558. We could even dip a little bit lower to 555 all over again, maybe a little bit lower before we try to rebound and bounce back up to 560, if not higher. I want to say that SPY still looks bullish because the daily is about to get a bullish cross in the PPO. We look very strong. Look for a dip in the morning, then another rebound and attempt to get up to at least 560. We'll see if that breaks or not, but there's a good chance SPY will push. Remember, there's so many puts expiring. Market makers seem to be favoring squeezing shorts, and that's what's been happening so far. Additionally, I just want to say that for SPY, what else is good for Tesla in the markets is the way we have these confluences. So the market's moving very similarly. Notice that we have a big cup and handle like structure developing on SPY. This could be a cup and handle, and we have a lot of potential for upside because the market's getting ready for FOMC. I think that's the biggest catalyst right now. For other factors out there, such as ES, we have resistance to watch for at this 5600 area, and 5580 and 5550 are our supports. I presume we're going to be dipping a little bit to 5580, maybe a little bit lower, than we try to rebound for 5600. If that breaks, we're going to be looking for basically 5610 and then 5630 as resistance levels. Look for a dip and a bounce and more potential upside for ES, in my personal opinion, as the 4 hour looks more bullish. Just like SPY, we also happen to have this cup and handle like structure. I think we're doing a good job at holding up. I think there's a good chance this continues this trend. So we still look more bullish to me. Look for a dip and then a bounce after that. For Nvda, we look more bullish. We reached my target of this 120 area. But one thing worth noting is that 120 is a tough resistance. We might see Nvidia dip a little bit. We could be retesting 118. If that does not hold, we could be coming back down to 115 before we try to bounce again. If we break 120, look for 122, then eventually 124.5. I presume we're going to be dipping a little bit in the morning to retest this 200 EMA around this 115 area, if not 118. I think we'll start with 118. If that fills us, then 115 comes. Then we should bounce again and try to break above 120. If we do break that, we have another gap to fill into the mid 120s, so I see potential upside coming. For Bitcoin, we're just range bound. We have 59,000 as resistance. We're very close to that area. 56,800 is our support at the 50 EMA. If we break below 56,800, look for a big dip towards the 55,600 area. If we break past 59,000, we're looking for 60,000. I think that Bitcoin is on a bit of an uptrend. If you look at the trend, we're continuing to make higher highs and higher lows. So we could dip a bit in the morning and start bouncing and looking for the 59,000 as time goes on. For other factors out there, we have NQ. NQ looks more bullish to me, just like that of the QQQ. It's leading the way up. Look at 19,500 as resistance and look at support at 19,250. If 19,250 breaks, we turn bearish. We're looking for the lower 19,000s. If we break 19,500, we're going to be looking for a push. I think we could dip a little bit before we try to push higher above 19,500 to push to these higher levels. So I favor the upside. Look for a dip and a bounce as the most likely case. For the QQQ, we look more bullish. We have 473, as resistance. If that breaks, we're looking for 475. If we start dipping, we're looking for basically 468 as our main support. I presume we're going to most likely see a bit of a dip for 468, then we bounce, start pushing for the 470s. I think that's going to be the most likely case. For Apple, Apple is basically just range bound right now. We basically have this 223 area. If we break that, we're going to be looking for a pump for 225. If we lose 221, we're going to be dipping all the way down to 219. We're stuck within this range. I think Apple's going to be going back and forth and back and forth. And I presume we're going to be dipping again tomorrow morning before we try to bounce once again up to about 224. So look for a dip and a bounce. For Palantir, we have a bearish divergence double top leg structure. We need to break 35 to turn bullish. I presume we're going to be dipping a little bit back down to the 33s before we try to bounce back up. So look for a bit of a dip on Palantir before it tries to bounce. Supermicro as well, we have an inverse head and shoulders like structure. I could be looking for 428 before it tries to rebound for the 450s. Look for a dip and bounce as well. For Rivian, I'm seeing the same thing. I could be looking for a retest of this 13.59 area, then a bounce, but it's still consolidating in a range. Might test 13.59 and bounce to about 13.89. For SoFi, we're looking bullish, nice inverse head and shoulders like structure. I think it could consolidate around 7.4, then start pushing for the 7.58 area for more potential upside. For the IWM Russell 2000, we have basically 212 as our resistance. If that breaks, we're looking for basically 214. We also have support at 210. We could be dipping down to the 210 area before we try to push higher, and then we could be looking for a nice little pump. For AMD, AMD is looking a little bit more bullish to me. We have 148 as our main support. If that fails us, we're looking for 144. If we hold this, we could be looking for a big pump all the way up towards 152. So we could dip and then bounce. I think we could be pushing for the 152 plus area, so we'll give this the time it needs. For ARM, we are looking more bullish, looking at the 4-hour time frame. If we manage to break past this 140 area, we're looking for basically 144. We're in a consolidation zone, but we look a little bit more bullish, technically speaking, with this wick forming like this. So look for some consolidation tomorrow and maybe a break. If we break past 140, we're looking for 144 as a target. For Coinbase, we look more bullish, but we have to hold above 159.58. If we lose 159, we could be dipping back down to like the 155 area. As long as we hold above 159, I'm looking for a potential uptrend for 165 and eventually 169. So I do see some more upside potential. For Amazon, we have potential. I'm going to double check this. We have this imbalance to fill around 190. So Amazon has these levels. If we were to lose 184 would take us down to about 182, if not 180, if that fails. And as long as we're above 186, I favor that this will continue to uptrend for 188, then 190. We look more bullish on Amazon as long as 186 holds. For Meta, we're looking for 525 as our support. As long as we hold above that, we're looking for 530. If 525 fails this, we're looking for 520. This is favoring more upside, so I think 530 is looking more favorable. For Microsoft, we look more bullish. We're looking at 427 as our resistance. If we lose 425, we could be dipping closer to 420 again. But as long as we're above that, we favor upside. Look at 427. If that breaks, we're looking for 430. It still looks more bullish. For Google, we look more bullish. As long as we hold above 153, I favor a push for 157. If we lose 153, we're going to turn back down to 150. As of right now, we look more bullish. We're favoring 157, and we're doing a good job so far. For others, we're going to talk about DJT real quick. So it's down right now. It could be retesting the 15.5 area. It looks kind of bearish to me, but it's going to try to base very soon because we're forming a bullish divergence. Look for this to base very soon around the 15s. Then we could be looking for a bounce up to 17. Give it some time. The VIX looks more bearish if, after whatever data comes out tomorrow and such ends up coming out, as long as this continues this trend, we have a big gap to fill around like the 15 area. So I think this could continue to downtrend approaching FOMC into the 15s, and the market may continue to uptrend. The 10 year is going to make a big move depending on what the Fed does, possibly dip lower. We'll see about that. The dollar is looking kind of weak. We have a double top leg structure, and I called out how 101.8 to 102 tends to be a tough resistance historically, and we could be looking for a dip on the dollar, and that's exactly what happened. So, with that being said, the dollar looks more bearish. This is a bullish signal for the markets. The market loves to kind of dip in the mornings and start bouncing as the day goes on, and there's a good chance Tesla's going to follow that trend. But one thing I want to call out is that 230 is a tough resistance. We'll see if we could break that tomorrow. If we do break it, we're going to look really good. So look for a dip and a bounce, and we'll see if 230 could break. If so, we will turn more bullish to try to test these highs all over again. The good thing about Tesla is when you look at the 4-hour time frame, we have a nice inverse head and shoulders, and we also have this gap on the daily. So there is potential upside in Tesla, but we need to break this 230 resistance followed by 235 to really see that big push. It may take a couple of days to get there, maybe even after FOMC, we'll see. But be patient, guys. Do what you have to do. With that being said, I really appreciate you guys for your attention. Please have an absolutely spectacular rest of the day. Enjoy your day, night, or evening, wherever you guys are around the world. And I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow before the market opens. Thank you for listening, guys. I'll see you guys very soon. Tesla's to the moon because the long term is very bright despite what's happening for the short term. And peace out.